Now over here we have that nice little fence. So I'm just going to indicate just a shape with some of that umber. Have it lean in there. We'll have some nice bit of light happening on there. Another little piece there. At this point, I'm going to start working in the water at the top and bring color down. In this area here we see a bit of a reflection. It's kind of a grayed down reflection. So it's the mix of the ultramarine with the Venetian red. Now, as I pointed out here, there's a little bit of the underpainting color coming through, which I started with that darker value, but that's okay. That value works, and that value is right, is correct. So I like that the way it is there. That works for me. So I'm going to add a little more, and the nice broad brush works well to create your reflections. So again, soft and vertical strokes first I like to do, reflecting the bank, clouds, image, trees, whatever it is that goes into the water. And then moving, you can, as you come down, you can start wiggling your brush a little and you'll get that feeling of movement in the water. So I'm going to establish my bank, the edge of the bank here. And then I'll go back in to correct the color. But here I just want to get my bank shape. And that blue looks quite strong. Again, it's because of all that kind of dull and dead color that these colors really appear to be very strong. Again, just drag the brush down. And I like the way that it's breaking up like that. Got a nice quality to it. Okay, so just nice slow dragging down. It breaks up nicely there. Okay, just establishing some more stronger darks along the edge. And now I'm going to add a little more, just a little bit more of that pink into the water. At this stage we're going to be adding in some grass details. I'm going to be painting in some grass, but I'm also going to do some removing. I've done a little bit here to kind of show you, but this is the technique here. You're just, because it's still wet, I can I could just simply just press in there and get those grass shapes quite easily. So the important thing is a good variety of sizes and direction. You don't want them all going the same way, of course, so we want it to look very as natural as possible. Now this is an area right here. This is an important area here because we're getting close to our focal area. So this is where I want some lighter area to happen. So you see how that light is now creating some contrast for my stronger focal area there. Stronger dark. So light and dark will draw the eye. Now I'm going to get into the painting more of these grasses, getting the right colors here. The first combination I'm going to do here is a raw umber with a little bit of white. So that's giving us a nice tone. Almost a bit greenish, which looks good with that kind of reddish color. So we've got a good variation and good warm and cool happening there, which is what we see here in these grasses. Along this bank we see actually some patches of green here, which I will be putting in. I've been keeping things quite subtle. This is what we want. This was what old masters' characteristics of their paintings were like. So we want to capture that. I'm going to lighten up a little bit with this is a bit of Naples yellow with white on my brush here, and just adding a little bit of light there. Again, making sure I don't lose my underpainting. Okay, now I'm going to work on the fence. I might just make that a little wider. And we've got some old rusted bits of wire here. So the shaper is an excellent tool for doing that sort of thing. I'm mixing a bit of the transparent red oxide and my raw umber. And what I'm going to do is just point the shape. I'm just pressing the tool right against the board. Then that way I'm basically drawing the shape with just pressing the shaper, so that creates my line. Now it is quite tangled. It's a tangled mess, and so I'm just going to have it kind of going just over the edge of the bank here. Just enough information to kind of figure out that it's an old fence that's fallen over. Kind of gives it some character there. A little bit of interest, and then another post back here, and there's another over here. I think we could use a smaller one there. Okay, so now we've got some more interest in the bank. Get it? Okay, I thought you'd like that one. I know my students are waiting for those puns. Okay, good. Creating a little more contrast too for those lights there. Here we are finally at the fence, and I'm just removing some paint there. I've got a little bit of the mineral spirit on my brush, so I've taken off a little bit of that warm color, and I want to put the fence is actually kind of a grayish color. So I'm going to add my ultramarine with the Venetian red and my white, and I'll get that nice kind of gray. And again, it's a nice contrast to that warm grass color around it. I'm just putting in a little extra pink on that side, that light side. There we got the fence. I'm just going to add a little dark on the one edge right there. Just give it a little more oomph. Okay. I think that does it there. Now it's time to go back in to the area here. This is where we're going to get, again, more of the shape of the tree here, and then our bigger focal area. I'm going to use my shaper to, first of all, give it its silhouette form. So again, just create that silhouette shape of the tree. That's what's important here. And this other nice shaped bush. And just accent, I want to accent that with a little more color. There's some nice transparent red oxide happening there. So I'm going to accent that a little bit more, just adding a little more of that color, a little brighter red. Just rubbing it in. I want those edges nice and soft. There, I think we got some good, nice warm color on there. Okay, so now we're going to work on this shape of the tree. This is where I like to use my pointed round. It's a sable brush, number 4. I'm going to be drawing the little tree back here, and I've got a mixture of some raw umber and ultramarine blue, and this is a pointed round that I'm using, so it's got a really good little tip that I can use, so it'll get my detail that I'm after. Again, this is where you don't want to overdo it with too many branches. You just want the suggestion of, I think that's pretty much enough. Should be enough there. Just like that shape. Okay, that's good. I'm going to accent this dark in here just a little bit more. I just like that feeling of it just going into that area next to the light. This creates a nice little contrast there. See how that really helped to contrast the light? That can be built up a little more too with the light. Okay, so this is just a little too wet now. So I'm going to move up. There's a little more finishing to do here at the top of these trees. So I'm going to take away a little bit of the paint that's in the cloud. That way I can create my edge for my tree. Now I'm going to get a little bit of a problem. I've got to raise this tree a little bit more because I don't want it to be at the same height as this tree. So we don't want that sort of conflict here. So I think what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to take this down. The option I have is either making this bigger, which I could do, or bring that down, which I think makes sense, but I also think I may bring this a little bigger anyway. After all, it's the focal area, so think we'll do that. I think that'll look better. Okay. Now as I see this, I'm noticing this looks a little dark in here, so I'm going to be removing some of that light. Get some of that lighter grass going in there. Kind of like that shape better. Okay, I think that works. Add a little more of that pink in there. There. Okay, now it's time to do that tree. Again, I'm going to be using the umber, raw umber and ultramarine. And I'm just rolling the brush through my fingers to get nice little interesting branch shapes here. I've really loaded the brush quite a bit, so I've got lots of paint there. Okay, keep adding a few more of these branches. So notice how I am rolling my fingers, rolling the brush through my fingers to make those more interesting branches. Okay, so I'm actually rolling the brush in my fingers this way, and then you get these interesting shaped branches. So they twist and they turn. So that's how you can capture that sort of look there. Also be careful that you are not putting branches always at the same height from each other. That way you don't get too symmetrical. If you do them all the same on both sides, then you end up with a very symmetrical tree, looking somewhat like a candelabra. And what I tell my students too, there's actually a good time that you can do trees, and that is at 3 o'clock. Okay, so I'm going to move back here. There's some interesting little finer, smaller trees, and I'm just going to do a few more details there. want to show you how to clean up a few edges. Sometimes as you're drawing your branches, they may not be as good as you'd like them to be. And basically it's an easy fix of just pushing paint to the edge of the object, in this case the branch. So to get a little more of the finish you want is by just pushing some of the background color to the edge of the trunk, or to the branch. So you can get it as fine as you like. So just push the paint to the edge and you'll get a nice crisp edge so you can clean it up nicely. Now you can do that with acrylic too, you just have to be much faster. With the oil you don't, you just take your time, but acrylic, you'll have to just be a little quicker about it, but it's still possible. You would just be removing the paint with some water with a brush, and that's how you do it. Okay, well, I think that pretty much does it. So I hope that you've learned a few things about the Old Masters palette. As you can see, the limited palette does provide a fair bit of color and very more subdued, but a beautiful palette, and you can get some lovely color and values with those few colors. So I hope that you'll be able to practice that at home and enjoy the time that you have to be able to do that while you're isolated, I guess. So I hope that you've learned a few things, and thanks for watching. If you've liked it, then go on to the website and you can like and subscribe, and I hope that you'll stay well and stay close to your easel.